over to you to walk through. Well, what's that? Oh, as far as first time here, Councilmember Smalls, Councilmember Joel Daves, Councilmember Gregory, Mr. Penn, and Mr. Reynolds, and then Mr. Leonard. And I'll turn it over to you to introduce your team.
I'm Casey Calloway, Office of Resilience, and this is Maitland Fall, Peyton's Chief Hi, Casey Calloway, Chief Resilience Officer, with Maitland Thull, who's the Resilience Coordinator, Mark Vasallo, Public Services, Keena Andrew, Deputy Director of Public Services, Dwight Austin, Acting Director of Sanitation, and y'all probably know Elizabeth Stevens, who's with the Downtown Mobile Alliance. Downtown Mobile Alliance has made several comments on it. We've gone back and forth with some of the comments from the original version. And just to kind of give you the heads up is y'all received an original version that we redrafted from. It's pretty much an overhaul. I think the document was originally written probably in the 80s, and it had some edits back and forth over time. We looked at revamping, reorganizing, and restructuring to match a lot of what the other ordinances in the city's municipal code looks like. So starting with the definitions section. There were multiple places where there were penalties. Instead, we moved everything, all the penalties into one article. So we did that for y'all in August. And then it went on the city council agenda, and then y'all pinned it for a little bit to have some time to review it. We sat down so far with Ben Reynolds and went over a lot of edits that he had suggested, which were great, really deep thinking about it. And then also with Downtown Mobile Alliance, we've had great involvement up until this version with our legal team from the city, who's been engaged in the process for about a couple of years that we've been working on getting this organized and together. What you have before you, if Ben handed it out, right, Ben? Yep. Thank you. And I apologize for not getting these to y'all sooner, but essentially what I think we can do is y'all can have these. I can go over the edits with you and changes with you. We can then, if you've got more or you want to send us more, then we can put it back together, have it go back through legal, and then go back on y'all's agenda. Okay, so is that helpful? Okay, so a couple of the big things we've gone through and redone and I did not leave this in track changes, but we actually put everything in alphabetical order. I did leave some of the changing of the numbers and that kind of thing that's simple. And let me just also add, this version that you're looking at are simply changes from the August version, not from time immemorial. I do have it in 2 giant books over here and all 37 different edits and all the comments I've ever seen in my life on the document, if you'd like to look at those. Okay, so one of the first big things we did was go through and this is an excellent suggestion, we tried to match definitions that are already in other places for the city, like apartment or single family dwelling or multifamily dwelling. We went with mostly what was already listed in the municipal and the UDC. That didn't always match up because the meanings are different. Things like waste. Hazardous waste is defined as the business that makes hazardous waste, so that doesn't fit this document, but we tried to use similar language when that fit. There were some places where I think we tried, if you look at garbage as a new definition, we tried to avoid the word putrescible because most folks don't know that word or love that word. We fixed some language where we used junked in the definition of junk. So we changed some of that. The manufactured home park, we added RVs to make sure they were covered because we wanted to make sure every type of park would be covered. We defined private roads. We didn't really think about that before annexation, but annexation and private roads became a pretty significant thing, so we put in a definition for that. Sky lantern and balloons are new to this document. That's a more significant add that we added a little section on that. Change the name of the department was pretty simple. I'm going through these fast. Y'all tell me to stop or tell me you want it in a different way. Okay. We talked about with Ben, I think there was a concern in A that it sounded like the city staff or the administration could change it willy-nilly whenever we wanted. So we cleaned that language up to make sure, because that was not our intention. We were just trying to make sure that if what we did in a wholesale was remove things like where you get information inside the ordinance and move that to always find your information on schedules and stuff like that on the website because it changes too much. So we didn't want that overly defined here. Then we put in a provision to make sure we left a minimum of time in that section B on page 4. With frequency, that was a duplication accidentally in there. We went through in that section C, 25.5C. We then noticed that we had failure to comply with the revisions was stuff that didn't need or wouldn't get a notice of violation or a municipal offense ticket. So we moved that out. So that's just a little bit of movement, but not really any change. We did add in maintenance, though, that that you should maintain it, but if the city breaks your garbage cart, that we'll replace it. We did some cleaning up of where your garbage cart goes. So we wanted to make sure people know that where the handles are placed. We also wanted to make sure that that they were, and there was a great question about what's curbside versus in the street, because all of us who live in Midtown who park on the street can't leave ours up on the curb because the garbage truck can't get it. So we kind of just reorganized that language a little bit to be a little bit more clear. Let me see. These are things I think are important. So if y'all don't, just if you want to know more, let me know. 25-6. We wanted to make sure on that frequency that scheduling especially for household trash, that frequency could change based on a holiday schedule, and it may not be to every other week because of that. But with household garbage, that's not the same. It will always be every other week. We just may change the day. Let me see. In quantity, amounts exceeding collection, we clarified this section to quantity number 2 to make sure that it was clear that how you will know you're getting a fee and what that fee will be and how we will assess it. Page 6, we just cleaned up the language. Debris from a lot clearing project didn't make sense, so we changed that to materials from a tree removal service, like a private company. So if you're clearing your own yard, you're not doing the same thing that a company would do, so we wanted to make that clear.
If you hire somebody to cut down trees, that company can't say, "Oh, we're not gonna haul it off. You just put it out there in the city."
How do we know the difference?
I mean, they can say that, but I'll give you an example. I had someone call me and say, "Hey, look, the city didn't pick up these big, large tree trunks out there in front." And I said, "Well, what happened? Did you cut the trees down yourself?" They said, "No, I hired a tree company. They told me to put it out." Well, in that case, there's clear, decisive proof and evidence where, okay, well, we can't pick that up.
Yeah, but our guys going down the street are not gonna know the difference.
They're not gonna know the
Mark, is the way you want to.
difference. Well, I'd love to figure out a way to.
What are we trying to accomplish?
That we're not operating for businesses, that the city of Mobile isn't doing a business's job, that we are doing the job of citizens and our community members. But if you are a business who has a responsibility to clean up your own, to finish your complete project.
It's your question, who's gonna get cited for putting it out there?
I think it's more of, they're not.
Well, it would eventually end up, like, not being picked up inside it.
Right, so right now, we cite the homeowner.
It will always be inside.
It's up to the homeowner to
Hire their tree.
to make sure that they're complying with the law.
That's correct.
Or the amount that's put out there is within acceptable limits to pick up. So it can be done of pieces at a time. I live in a neighborhood that's, I call it Tree Town. You know, there's 5 oak trees on my lot alone, and nobody comes to do those trees except for us. There are times when I have to take an 8-inch round limb out the street because it's either fallen or it had to be pruned. So you're telling me now that me and my neighbors who live in this neighborhood, every time we have a tree limb fall or an open fall, we got to go call a private business.
No, sir. Number 1, limbs greater than 12 inches in diameter.
Well, there's some that are 12.
So then you should cut it smaller.
Also, now it's ripped it down to where it can be picked up.
Well, our machines can't pick it up.
But I mean, there's been times when there's been a thunderstorm, especially in that water hole in my rear, where we put some out there that were huge in the city's big. So you're telling me now that the residents have to call a specialized company to come pick them up?
So,
It's always been
flip side
12.
of that Is that someone can have every tree in the yard taken out and put it out on the street? Is that something you want the city to pick up?
That's not what, the city has a confine by cubic yards, what can be picked up and what won't be picked up.
And that is, and what we're doing here is working to clarify how big, and that's in large part, y'all correct me, that's in large part because of what our machines are capable of doing in one swoop. So our machines are big, but getting bigger than a 12-inch piece of wood is a struggle.
And although it might be able to be picked up like once or twice, you start picking those up over time, it's undue wear on the system. It's not ready for that.
Well, all I'm saying is that if there were a cubic yard of leaves over there with a 12-inch limb up under it, you wouldn't know the difference.
So pick it all
So we
up.
got some coverage.
Yeah, you'd never know the difference because that machine is gonna scoop it up and put it on the back of the truck. And it's gonna take the grass and everything else with it that's right there. If you look at my backyard and look right there in my driveway and see where my neighbors stack all those trees and stuff, where my wife has to constantly call because my neighbors stack stuff up on our yard, then you will know what I'm talking about. So all I'm saying is that who's gonna know the difference? You know, what are you gonna do? Ride down the street, knock on everybody's door and say, hey, did you put this out there or did you hire somebody to put it out?
So if we know, if we have evidence that it's a company that's done the work, we will not pick it up. If it's in front of somebody's house in the right appropriate size, and it's 2 cubic yards or less, then we will go through and pick it up.
So a business can cut the trees and put them in the front lawn and you'll still pick them up if they're the right size.
Well, no, I mean, if we know about it, that's.
Well, if you know, but who's gonna know?
Who's gonna know?
They're not gonna put a flag on and say done by.
So something going on with my mic. Oh, there you go.
So,
It's
I
better.
mean, that's all I'm saying.
I think it's just you.
Or if you, got a chainsaw like me, you go out there and you rip them down into quarters. You know what I mean? Nobody will know that.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
So,
Mr. Penn. So in the past, excuse me, we didn't have a define for 12-inch. All right, that's correct.
We didn't have anything.
Define. Okay, so
It was just, it was basically, business type debris. So we defined any large tree as something that was not a standard resident would remove. So we wouldn't pick up any of that. So this is a change giving the residents more service than we really were in the past, because we were defining all large logs, even 12-inch logs as a commercial, more than a standard resident would cut.
okay,
Yeah, I think that's an important note.
You're gonna pick up everything up to 12.
Right.
Up to 12 inches.
all right. And so the material for the tree removal, if I did it myself, then it would be picked up.
And again,
So-
I think Mark's point is if there's evidence that you hired somebody and the tree company that you hired has the sign in the yard that says, we just cleared this lot and they didn't take it, then we're going to call the homeowner and say, no, baby, you've got to do that yourself.
So
Or the
when
firm does.
So what I'm saying is, so but even if the guidelines, they fall in the 12-inch, it's not 6, it's not as big, it's fall in those guidelines, the homeowner still wouldn't be able for the material to be picked up.
The homeowner would. I mean, again,
But not if it's over 12 inches.
Yeah.
If
Right.
the homeowner goes out there and cuts a 24 inch.
No one.
We're not picking it up.
Yeah, but if a tree removal service did the service, we're not picking up, even if it fall in the guidelines.
Right. If you know about it. Yeah.
So I don't understand why would.
'cause that's
Wow.
supposed to be a part of what the tree removal service does, is to remove, that is the job, their job. So they're supposed to do it all.
My yard guy does it for us.
That's a part of their job.
It's part of their
Yeah.
job. It should be a part of their hire. But if they're trying to pass that buck onto the city, we're working to make sure that it's
Gotcha.
clear that that's
And-
not the
and-
city's job to finish a lawn service company's responsibility.
And
So
then
that's a part of the country. I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the
Okay.
contractor, usually the
You said it could
contractor,
be.
Yeah.
So so it's not defined. So I'm just using, I hire somebody to come and say, hey, I want you to cut these trees up. But I didn't know that was a part of the removal. And then I said, well, hey, the city's gonna come pick it up.
And
Well, if
practically,
they cut it down and leave it in the backyard and you move it to the front yard, we don't know. So, I mean, there's a lot of we don't know that we're going to do, but at the same time, what the ordinance does and what having language in the ordinance does is it does help the homeowner know that when they hire a tree service, that the tree service has that as a part of their responsibility, that the city is not, sorry, y'all, the city is not supposed to be doing that part of the job of a tree service. They're supposed to haul it off, pay the tipping fees at Dirt Inc. or wherever they go, as opposed to that being another onus and responsibility for taxpayer dollars.
I've seen in the past on Government Street where the tree service will come through, prune the trees, and leave the limbs for the city to come back and pick them up.
Yep.
So what's the difference?
But aren't those contracts with?
Those are contracts with the
Yeah.
city?
Huh?
Those are
But-
city
no,
contracts.
No, the city's picking up a hired contractor's work, is what I'm saying.
But we hired the
Yeah.
contractor.
All right,
That's
so-
our,
okay,
that would be a part of the
but-
contract
but-
we did with the city,
What
with
I'm
the
saying
company.
is you're stating that the equipment can't pick it up. It's evident that the equipment can pick it up. That's all I'm saying. Because we're doing it for ourselves, and you're telling me that you can't pick it up going through a
So why are you
neighborhood.
going
that-
down this road? Are you arguing that the city ought to
look,
pick up?
all I'm saying is that, if you're gonna pick it up, pick it up. Because it's hard to differentiate between who cut what, when, and where.
Well-
If the only way you're gonna be able to do that is go through and knock on every door in the neighborhood and say, hey, did your contractor come out here and cut this down, or
Well,
did you?
I think the practicality in action is the city's going to come around. They're going to collect just like they normally do. It's going to be the responsibility of the homeowner to know that they're not supposed to let that the guy they call, they're not supposed to leave it for the city to come get. Then also too, another practical aspect is we all know my neighbor across the street, he cut his limbs down, piled them up, and somebody walking called, and he got a warning for that. He too big a pile, but he was going to call you guys and do that. So neighbors are going to tell neighbors, and then also too, your enforcement guys that are driving around, if you see the Aspelia guy cutting limbs and they're dragging it out to the road, I mean, I think that's kind of how it is right now, but this just spells it
The
out.
Aspen companies, the I don't mean to name a name, but the lawn care, the tree care companies also, this is a note to them to remind them that it is their
their
responsibility, not the city's responsibility. So this is both and for a homeowner to know and for a contractor to know. But again, what I understand I'm doing today is walking y'all through the proposed edits. If y'all don't like them or you want it different, please send us a note. We'll get it fixed and we'll get it in there right.
And then I'll I have one more comment, and I'll let you go ahead and move forward. Calling and paying additional fee to get the larger piles. I guess that's not really spelled out per se in here. Like, do you call 48 hours before your trash pickup day? Do you I guess at what point do you call ahead of time and say I'm making a big pile? I just look out for the citizen that if I pull everything out on a Thursday, and then I call on a Wednesday, I'm picking up on Thursday, where kind of a time frame so that where's that threshold for getting the ticket, I guess.
You need to put in here a notice time, the
Yeah.
time element is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, no, time, just says household trash, but you're saying if you want to have special arrangements for a
Yeah.
bigger pile, you
Yeah.
must give the city X amount of time
Yeah.
notice.
Like right now, within 48 hours of your designated pickup day, my neighbor across the street, pulled his limbs out, was going to call to get the additional pickup, but ended up getting a warning on a Wednesday, and our pickup day's a Thursday. So I guess, theoretically, can you get that? Like, if you do get a ticket, can you get that reversed? I guess if you pay the fee before the pickup, I guess.
Yeah, that's,
Why don't we just do away with picking up large loads, whether they pay or not? Why don't we just do it? Because it's so confusing. Because one time I had someone that wanted us to pick up well, we don't pick up that kind of large load. So I think it'd be easier if the city just got out of the business of picking up extra large loads. And then we don't have to deal with all this stuff.
Yeah, but I'm afraid if that happens, it's gonna sit there and sit there and sit there.
The problem is the determination of cubic yards and size. The average
Yeah.
person just
Doesn't really
doesn't-
understand.
doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't understand that. Couple quick questions with debris and trash. Extenuating circumstances, how is that defined in here?
Where are you?
I'm still on page 6, section F. When I talk about extenuating circumstances, I'm talking about after storms. After storms, that's not defined here. After storms, and I haven't read all the way through this, like I told you last night. After storms, what size, what's allowed, because we're doing the pickup and we're the ones that's taking it over to the burn pile with a lot of our equipment on top of other people's equipment. So how are we handling that after storm? Do these rules get relaxed?
Yeah, I think they do. They generally,
It's different. I mean, so debris.
With-
City
with-
sanitation will support that, but.
DRC has our debris removal
That's right.
contract, but we still provide trucks on those routes and in those grids with DRC as we've always done, unless that's changed.
I think there's an easy addition to put in at the beginning or somewhere. We can ask Leo where to put it, but force majeure.
Just however you
got
want
it.
to word it, just fix that. I mean,
Got it.
because that's an uncertainty. The other thing is that you guys say you don't pick up, you need to put construction debris on. Oh, well, I see it right now. Construction debris here too. But you're saying you don't pick these things up. I've got that place at Augusta and Charleston. Every week there's household debris left out there. If we don't pick it up, the landlord's definitely not going to have it picked up, and it's going to sit out there for a month. Prime example is I had to call Keisha about an eviction next door to me where the trash sat out there for how long, Keisha? A month, 2 months, because the city refused to pick it up until it started stinking and messing up the neighborhood because the city didn't want to pick it up. Now, I'm not going to pay for to pick it up anymore. Even I've paid for my neighbors once, twice. I'm not going to do it again. So somebody has to have a way to handle that. You know, it's sitting out there. Nobody has the ability to pick it up. Nobody wants to pay for it. Either the city's going to have to help us do it, or it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, that's a big problem, especially east of 65.
Yeah.
Very big problem.
Yeah,
Very
I've got-
big problem.
I've paid, my wife and I have paid for this where people have stacked it on our property and the city's come to our door and left us notifications and mailed us notifications. I'm not paying for it ever again. So we need to find a way to resolve that.
I think there's a couple situations that we just brought up is that, first of all, if it is, if it's material from an eviction or again, commercial material or any of that kind of, the process is the city won't pick it up and we are going to drive by it, but, they're going to get cited to remove it. And if it's not removed, then they'll get a ticket.
No, you're not hearing me. The people that left are gone. The people that getting cited a notification are the people that are still there whose property it's on.
Yeah,
That's the
whoever's
issue.
property it owns. Is
So you're going to
responsible.
cite me again.
If it's in your property, it's your
Uh,
responsibility.
Keisha,
to
please
cite.
explain. This was on my property.
No, I know your situation because we talked about it.
And
right?
it's constant.
Yeah. And
It's
so
not sometime, it's constant. And it's constant because nobody wants to pick it up.
because I think it's a legal issue between residents. It's not a city, a council person thing. It's two residents that, somebody should not be dumping because basically somebody is dumping on your property.
But there is an eviction dump. It's where the people were evicted
Mhm.
and they leave. They don't have anywhere else to put it. So they put it where they can. And the city doesn't pick it up because we're saying that it's not a city responsibility to pick it up. But
Are they evicted from a place where somebody owns a piece of property?
yes, and
So is it the owner of the piece of
we
property
should be
responsible?
attacking the landlords, but we're not. We're sending notices to people that are across the street and down the street that whose property is on because you guys don't know where it's coming from.
Well,
And
we
still-
can take a minute.
And still yet the problem is
Let me-
that if we simply just picked it up.
So let me ask this, yes. I want to ask this question of y'all.
I'm sorry.
Can we just, would it be okay if we went through the document and then as one-off issues came up, we write the list.
Go ahead.
And I don't mean to limit it. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be in the mayor's office right now for a different meeting. And so I want to just, if it's okay with y'all, I'll keep going and
Yeah,
then
that's
I'll.
perfect. And then what we can do is we can email you and follow it up. And
Yeah, because I do
'cause
think
we
there's,
got
I
we
think
have a
we've
2 o'clock too.
y'all
so.
haven't had a chance to really dig into these. You haven't read it all the way through this version. So I'd like to make sure we do that. And I do not want to limit conversation. Please know that. Household hazardous waste, we've cleaned that up a little bit, made sure that, people break glasses in their house. We want to make sure you can put it in the trash can, but we wanted to make sure that that was not large volumes, and that it didn't put our city staff at risk. Again, I think in this 25.8 business district, we've added if the garbage cart is damaged, the city will replace it if we did it. Added in to make sure we were careful about, again, making sure that we're not putting carts in the road or leaving them in the road for traffic. I think we had omitted the fact that Elizabeth rightly reminded us to make sure we were removing them from sidewalks so they're not just left willy-nilly. Commercial waste collection, page 8. We did a lot of small changes here, but they're really good changes for clarity. You've got owners and occupants of commercial premises. We separated out what one would do versus what the other would do because they can all do the same thing.
Can we,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make this one point.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe we have an effective enforcement mechanism for commercial.
What do you mean?
Well, let me give you an example. There's these apartments called the Barrington Apartments. And I've been getting this.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah, people just go and put their crap
Well,
wherever.
but it's
Yeah.
the people that live there also.
Yeah.
So David has been issuing ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket, and it goes to municipal court. And guess what? The owner doesn't show up in municipal court. And if the owner doesn't show up in municipal court, they can't levy the fine, and we don't collect the fine. So there's no effective enforcement mechanism. Now let me finish. This is the same thing we ran into with the
Walmart.
with
Yes, sir.
with the Walmarts and area, but it's true. It's true it's not just apartments. It's these big box stores and everyone that they're not complying with the existing legislation and Dollar General. And we write these tickets. Writing the tickets does no good. These people are in Kenosha, Wisconsin. That they're not going to show up in our municipal court and pay the fine. So we have to have a different, more effective enforcement mechanism. And like we discussed, pulling the business license.
It's South Bay for me.
Yes.
Can you pull apartment complex business license? Or
I
There-
don't know, but
one of the-
levying fines is not going to solve the problem.
I'm not 100%. Have you read through the enforcement, the revisions that we've done here?
Right.
There are a couple things that we did in the enforcement section, which we moved all the enforcement to one section this
Right,
time.
but it's still
It does
fines.
not, it still fines. It increases the fines.
You can increase it by a
But
gazillion dollars.
but I
If
do
they don't
think-
show up in court, you're not going to be able to get them.
I think that this changes. So what we've got some companies who do is they just write a check because it's easy. So number one, we're making that check more expensive for them to consistently write. But then secondarily, I think that this eliminates the you don't show up, you don't have to pay. So I think that that is clarified here, but I will double check that with legal to make sure.
Have you considered pulling their business
I
licenses?
love it, but I wasn't trying to overhaul everything because, we're overhauling
That's
everything.
very important
It's-
in our case. I think that's more important at this table right now than anything.
Okay.
We
Because
have
can increase the fines of the city already sitting at a surplus.
Yes, sir.
and
Well-
half the time they're not paying the fines. You're,
So
you're
I-
assuming they're
that-
going to, they're not
So-
paying the fines.
So one part in
I
here
know.
that does get changed a little bit. It doesn't necessarily address apartment complexes. But y'all remember when you did the original one of these in 2013-14, the dumpsters enclosure. So if you got a fine for your dumpster, if you didn't have a fine for your dumpster's fine. If you got a fine for your dumpster one time, you paid the fine. If you got a dumpster fine the second time, you had to put the enclosure in and you had to make it nicer.
Who's going to make them do that?
Well, we are making them do that as a, well, I thought we were. With dumpsters and requires more That is a more significant change in here. So if you've got parking lot, including even apartment complexes, then you've got so many parking spaces. If you're getting fines and tickets, then you have to change
You're
that.
not
No,
listening.
I am.
You're
I'm
not
just
listening.
also telling you what's already there. I hear you.
It's just like I said, we can put all those rules in here, but if you can't enforce it, it's no good. And you keep talking about the rules, but you're not talking to me about
I hear you.
enforcement.
I am giving you the,
I've made an asterisk. I'll have an email. This will be on an email.
This is the
So-
power that I have,
I am
Councilman
with
Days,
Joel
as you know.
100% on this issue because I've got it at South Bay and I've got it at 2 other apartment complexes. The neighbors cry all the time because the trash blows all up and down the street.
Yes, sir.
It just doesn't work the way we have.
And we'll move on. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Thank you. And
I'm with Joel.
I think I think that y'all know what I did before I got this job. So you could be like a little bit anyway. I'll let that go. So keeping on going, we did a lot more with
But the thing about it is that you got more powers now than you did before when you had the old
And
job.
if there is someone in the administration who is resistant to more enforcement, more effective enforcement, please let us know who that person is.
Okay. I will figure that out, and I will look at this document.
I'll let you
and I
go
will
to your
figure
next.
that out, and I will let you
Go
know.
ahead and move
Yes,
on
sir.
to the next one.
No, one sentence.
Yes, sir.
One sentence. And Joel's already said it. The only way you're going to get their attention is to make it so they cannot do business without following the law. You need to write that sentence in and we will pass it. Write that
I hear
sentence
you.
in.
We've already
and
written
we
it
will
somewhere
pass
else, so I can pull it from something else we've got in the world. and put
But
it
I
right
made a
in here.
note and
Needs to include apartment
Yeah,
complexes.
apartment
as well.
complexes, they're the prime.
Okay.
They-
Prime.
we could.
And also some of these little businesses where they've got the outdoor receptacles for people to put, their donations in, that becomes a trash ground. as
That does too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll let you move on.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
talking good.
Okay, the couple of other just small things in here. We have strengthened pretty dramatically the vehicle hauling garbage, trash, and refuse. If you are driving a truck down the road, you have to cover that better, and we've defined that pretty clearly. There was one question that came in on page 9 that I'll just flag for you. We did not respond to it yet, but it has come up, is the timing, it's E, the timing of when you would be hauling trash. We have not between office hours, business hours, and picking up emptying a dumpster at a shopping center or something along those lines. I think
the
folks are
dumpsters,
saying,
yeah.
why would you not do
Yeah.
that during the day? And
Right,
we got to think about that.
Do you want me to tell you why? Because it's harder to operate those deuce and a halves with all those cars and equipment in those parking lots. It's better to do it from midnight to 5 a.m.
I agree. I think that the downtown business district probably has a bit of a challenge with that because they sleep there. But otherwise, I don't think that's as big of a problem. But
I got
Elizabeth,
people living behind Pine Brook Shopping Center and behind all those businesses on Airport Boulevard. I got people in Landfair. They do not want those dumpsters dumped.
Before
in the
6
middle of the night.
a.m.
Yeah.
Reggie Copeland law there.
so I think we do have to look at the time and we have to look at how we do that. Maybe there are parameters around with residential properties within or something along
It's
those
just
lines.
hard to get to them when all those cars are out there. That's why they choose to do it that way.
Okay, well, it's a question that's been flagged. No, I think we did a little cleanup on page 11 to just some of the stuff didn't make good sense. That C, it's not much. It just is clarity. And then clarity again on that 2524. If I allow you to put stuff in my dumpster, you are allowed to put stuff in my dumpster. That's made it seem like you couldn't. Balloon or sky lantern release, we defined what a balloon test was in number 1, so we took it out as a second thing. I have your notes on enforcement, and we'll work on those. And we did get a few other little notes on penalties and what that looked like from city legal that I didn't have time to really look at. Do we want because in penalties, it's at 25-33C for all violations of the chapter that are not subject to the paragraph above, $200 fine or imprisonment. And we've been recommended to do a longer imprisonment time, up to 90 days. So,
You still got to have possession of the person.
and you still have to actually enforce that. So, just wanted to flag it as something else that came up. So these are things that so this is the big picture of what we have. What we would love for y'all to do, I will answer questions. Or actually, if it's okay with you, I would love to leave Mark to answer additional questions so that I can go up to the overscheduled meeting I got. But I also am here, and we all are. If y'all have any other questions or want anything else in here added, I hear you, Councilman Daves. I'm on it. I can make that suggestion and get it in there. We have the language already written somewhere else. So easy to put in there and then flood it with the mayor's team and then start to find why we're not doing better enforcement. I love enforcement.
Did y'all talk about downtown at all?
140.
Huh? Did y'all talk about downtown at all?
I mean, everything, we didn't make any.
Everything stays the same downtown?
We haven't made any other changes in the downtown section per what we had talked about earlier.
Everything
it's-
stays the same?
Thank you.
Yes, I printed it at 12:01. So no, I mean, I couldn't send it to you. If that's,
Here.
And we'll,
I'll get another.
if it's okay with you, I'll ask everybody if you have any comments on this. Maybe spend a couple minutes this week and send an email with anything, and then
I got one thing, Gina, when we were here in our first year, Sam Jones put small litter receptacles everywhere. I read last night about your small litter receptacles. Who's going to pick that up? Because it began to be more of a mess than it was a help.
these are for private properties. What's in here is private properties. Say again?
Not online.
Not on rights of
No.
ways.
The city is not adding new trash cans. The city is not adding new trash cans. We have created a system, and we did this with the help of Burton Properties with the test project that they did out at Westwood. The city can create a system now that we could purchase trash cans, lease them out to a shopping center owner so that it fits within their maintenance. It's got a term, and I can't remember it top of my head, but they can pass it on as maintenance costs as opposed to capital costs, which makes it feasible financially especially for a shopping center owner who owns multiple shopping centers.
One more thing about the big boxes and shopping centers and small receptacles. In other cities, there is a required period of time that the parking lots are cleaned daily. Yes. I didn't see that written into the
We
city.
don't have that. We do
Well,
have, if your
let's
trash
add-
can overflows, have to empty
Let's
it
add
by.
that, because in other cities, big boxes and grocery stores are required to clean the parking lots at, I think it's intervals in the day. I'm see if I can't find it for you. That needs to be added. And that's from the right of way up to the door.
It's not just the big box stores either.
It's-
Some of the
yeah.
smaller ones.
Yes, ma'am. However we want to add that to it. And then homeowners and right of ways too, in neighborhoods where we have so many problems with street sweepers, but there's some municipal ordinances that have the homeowners take care from corner to corner with trash in the gutters and things like that too. So we need to find a way to address that. Now in our neighborhood, our neighbors do it, but in other neighborhoods they don't. So we need to start enforcing that, especially in underserved neighborhoods where the neighbors just let that stuff stay out there because there's so many rental properties. We need to find a way to address that too, because it's clogging up the city storm drain system.
I don't think we cover storm drains in this document, like
Well, I'm
what
talking
goes.
about the litter on the street.
Okay,
The litter on the street.
okay, I hear you.
Yeah, because litter on the street shouldn't be allowed to stay out there from within a 24-hour period. If it's on their private property, that's their issue. But if it's in the gutter, and behind in front of the curb, then it needs to be addressed by somebody, because the street sweepers aren't coming every other day.
Right. I'm trying to think of where it is. I don't know. There's some of that might be covered in the stormwater management plan because it is how it flows, but I will double
I
check
don't know.
that.
You
Yes, sir.
had me reading this last night, and then I was trying to catch up to him this morning,
Yeah.
and it's
It's been a
just.
morning. I understand.
Some of it might be in the International Property Maintenance Code too.
You think so?
I think there's some other stuff in that.
Yeah, but we need to make sure that they all run in parallel. So the same language needs to be in all three and not just in one, because our citizens don't read the International Property Management Code. They only read what's litter. So they have to run it. in unison.
Thank you, Ms. Calloway. Appreciate it. We'll let you get to your meeting. We'll send you an email, and then that way, whatever I have, we'll just try to get by the end of the week, so you keep working on it. And then we're not going to vote on it the 31st, since we're voting on everything else in the middle of the world. So,
31 October.
man,
It's Halloween,
you're stacking
man.
it up. You're stacking that
You
up.
know, it's Halloween.
Thank you. I
America-
appreciate it. We will get you, I will email y'all a copy of this as it stands right now today, so that you can make copies on your make edits in the document.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
my suggestion would be that everybody write down the things that are important to you that the way you want them written and changed, and let's get them as part of the document. Like Mr. Dave's, if you want their folks' business license to be pulled, provide that language.
Yeah, the language needs
Okay,
to be
and then-
parallel to
and then-
other law.
Mr. Carroll, if you want, some particular language pulled or changed or added, to put it in writing and let's get it in here and figure out the section. Otherwise, we're just going to talk ourselves in circles about,
But Ben, I agree with that, but a lot of those laws are present in other statutes, so they need to run in parallel.
we've got an attorney. He's
So I
very
think-
helpful.
Thank you. Well, you're going to where I was about to get you.
Can I ask a
It might
question?
be better if the department head looks it up and then brings it back to us, because they have all three pieces of legislation at once, don't y'all? Y'all don't have ours.
But we have ours. And then, so it would take somebody like Casey to coordinate over multiple departments to
Okay.
kind of gather all
Well,
that.
it'll be easier if all the language was the same between all the different.
I think she would still request a recommendation from however you like it. And then what we'll do with that recommendation is we will bump that. And she can send it out to the other appropriate departments.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, I'm suggesting this because the administration has put forward what they think is sufficient. And if you want something different, then please use the resources we have with Mr. Linder and everybody else to put down specifically what you want to change so we can get something
And then
passed.
if it's overlapping somewhere, then
They can clean
figure
it
that
up.
out, yes.
All right, Mike.
Out of curiosity, how many enforcement officers do we have?
It's a complicated question. So for sanitation, we have 4, and we're trying to hire a 5th for the entire city and annexation area. And then we don't have a supervisor yet. We're trying to hire a supervisor for all those people because they just, doing what Jeff had asked them. Now, anytime it's on private property or outside the sanitation piece, that's David Box. So I'm not 100% sure, how many folks.
And then in the annexed area, if you obviously there's some patches where the county's on the other side of the road, the city's on the other side. If you see any trash on the county side, please call Mr. Dewitt, and he'll address that. So, is there a motion to adjourn? All right, all in favor?
Well, council, I asked Lisa to move the interviews up 15 minutes. So let's be here at 2:10, and our first interview would be at 2:15.
All in favor? Adjourn.
I mean, nobody's read it.
I think their priorities were clearly stated.
Are we still